Hello, my name is Yifan Wang, and I'm going to present our CS2316 final project with my partner Lucas. Let's get started with the point of interest or the purpose of our project. The topic we chose is to analyze the relationship between inflation and purchasing power versus obesity and nutrition over the course of the year, and how food has become more expensive compared to before. And the reason that we chose to analyze the relationship between inflation, purchasing power, and nutrition because it offers a comprehensive view how economic factors influence people's health, specifically obesity. We are going to look at and understand how to change in inflation impacts purchasing power and slowly influence dietary choices and obesity rates over the course of the year. Let's look at the dataset that we chose to use for our projects. First, the static dataset used for our project is from data.gov. It includes various attributes such as the year and the location of the survey, data source, and the topic of the question asked, which covers areas like physical activity, obesity, and weight status. Specific questions include metrics such as percentage of adults who engage no leisure time physical activity, the percentage of adults aged 18 years and older who have obesity, as well as detailed on income and ethnicities. Second, we use the Bureau of Labor Statistics website for web scraping. This webpage contains a table which we navigate through by accessing different T-body and T-head tags to extract the data. The website provides information on U.S. food inflation rate, covering the period from 1968 until the current month. We also script the U.S. all-time inflation as well as the medical inflation. Third, we also utilize an API from the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, which allows us to retrieve published historical time series data into either JSON format or as an Excel spreadsheet. Each data series have a unique series ID that correspond to specific different types of data that users want. The data that requests were CPI, Consumer Price Index data. The CPI measures the overall change in consumer price based on a representative basket of goods and services over time. Specifically, we request three types of CPI data: US all item, US all food and beverage, and the US medical. These datasets were provided in JSON format, allowing us to work on it with pandas. An additional dataset that I added is income in the US from US Census website. From this site, I downloaded a table that includes detailed information such as race and Hispanic origin of householders and the year, the percentage of distribution of different income range, median income in dollar, and the mean income in dollars.
Data manipulation and cleaning. For the CSV files, this was our largest area of data, and so we use pandas to read the CSV file and format it into data frames first. Numerous methods were also used. df.drop_na were used to drop columns that only contained nan values. df.drop was used to target drop columns by name. For example, in the code on the right, we dropped income and race/ethnicity because these columns were empty in our CSV. We also use data frame masking to clean rows based on parameters that we set. This was also used in phase 2. And lastly, df to CSV was used a few times to create output CSV files. And throughout this process, nans, duplicate values, and empty strings were inconsistencies that we dropped. Next is HTML. For this, we use request modules to return response object with response data from websites. Beautiful Soup module was also used to extract data within the table tags, the T-head, T-body, TR, and TH tags. .text.strip is a method that's used to clear various white space characters within the loops so that there are no inconsistencies. Lastly, for the API, we use request modules and the official BLS API key to request US CPI data. pretty table objects were created to format and display the data in a readable manner. And throughout the cleaning process, we filtered duplicate columns out and removed empty values. For data analysis and insights, the first insight is economic impact on health, and using data from the CSV and the CPI, which was taken from the HTML, we plotted it on a line graph to compare the two, and this shows that the direct correlation between food inflation and obesity rates suggests that rising food costs are influencing dietary choices, leading to increased consumption of less healthy foods, and which causes higher obesity rates. This relationship underscores the relationship between economic factors and health outcomes, and points to the importance of addressing food security and nutrition in public health strategies. Insight 2 looks at cultural and behavioral insights. Using the CSV again, we grouped by ethnicity and with relation to adult populations and the percentage of obese and overweight individuals. And we also utilize an external graph that plots percentage of fast food consumption on a given day with ethnicities. And we found that this implies that ethnicity can correlate with obesity and overweightness based on consumption patterns and consumer purchasing. And as an example, looking at these two, Asian populations tend to have the lowest rate of fast food consumption and therefore the lowest obesity rates, and this is vice versa for Black populations. And this correlation underscores the role of diet in shaping health outcomes and highlights the need for targeted public health strategies to adjust dietary habits and their effect on different ethnic groups. For Insight 3, we looked at income versus obesity, and this correlation between lower income and higher obesity rates can be largely attributed to dietary spending patterns and the affordability of healthy versus processed foods. And this graph comes from the CSV, and it shows an inverse relationship whereby lower income correlates to higher average percentage of obesity, and higher income correlates to lower rates of obesity. And using further research, we found that lower income households often face financial constraints that limit their food choices, leading them to allocate a larger portion of their food budget towards processed foods, where in contrast, higher income households generally have financial flexibility and can allow them to spend more of their budget on fresh groceries such as fruits, vegetables, etc.
Insight 4, CPI and the income increase. Our first graph showed the increase in CPI points from 2011 to 2020. The second graph provides a newly added data set showing the trend in U.S. median income from 2011 to 2020. The CPI is one of the measures of inflation and purchasing power. It calculates the change in weighted average of price of consumer goods and services, including transportation, food, and medical care. The CPI helps us to understand the change in the cost of living over time. Median income in America has been an increasing trend since 2011. However, this period has also seen a rise in CPI, which correlates directly with the increased cost of goods. From 2011 to 2020, the CPI has increased around by 30 points, where the median income has only increased by around 20%. This disparity indicates that Americans are losing purchasing power, affecting the quality of goods they can afford over the time, specifically food qualities. In summary, while incomes are rising, the faster pace of CPI increase suggests that the cost of living is growing even quicker, leading to a reduction in real purchasing power for many Americans. Insight 5, Food Inflation and Food CPI. Our top graph shows the average food inflation from 2011 to 2020. Over these 10 years, the food inflation rate fluctuates significantly. The bottom graph shows the average food CPI from 2011 to 2020, which shows a consistent upward trend over this period. The upward trend in CPI aligns with period of higher inflation in the food category, indicating that the rising food inflation contributed to the overall increase in food prices. Even though the food inflation rate changed from time to time, the CPI for food has been consistently rising throughout the year. This means that food prices has been increasing regardless of the inflation rate. The bottom graph shows a steady increase in food CPI from 2011 to 2020. Starting at a base value around 210 in 2011, it raised steadily each year, reaching around 245 in 2020. This consistent rise indicates that the cost of goods has been steadily increasing over the decades. In summary, the data suggests that while food inflation rates can change, the overall trend for food price is rising, affecting the cost of living for many Americans. Conclusion of our projects. From this project, here are some of our learning outcomes and challenges that faced during the project. Looking at the learning outcomes, throughout the project, we gained experience with the libraries such as Pandas, Request, NumPy, Beautiful Soup, Pretty Table, and Matplotlibs. We also learned how to improve our ability to present data clearly and conduct data analysis. We also learn how to aggregate different data, which allows to compile different large data sets efficiently. We learn how to properly manage projects to deliver them on time with good qualities. We also faced different challenges. One major challenge was to connect data together to create insights. Maintain clear documentation and handling inconsistency was also quite difficult. The BOS API daily request amount limits slowed our progress down, but we were able to finish formatting the data on time. In conclusion, this project has been a great learning experience. We gained skill in project management, data analysis, and also gained experience with useful libraries that could be really useful in the future. Thank you. That's our project.